Welcome to the Inside Hustle, Unfiltered Soul Truth series with Joanna Walden. I'm a visionary consciousness transformation leader. I work in the space of multidimensional transformation using sound and light and geometry. I work at sacred sites. I'm an author and a speaker. So many fun things going on here in the space of energy and the unseen realms. And with this beautiful series, I've been bringing forth a lot of the connections that I've made all over the world because I feel like bringing these voices into the community right now is so pertinent because we are at such incredible times of transition and change and really exciting times at that too. And so it's my absolute pleasure to introduce you to someone I met in New York, I think 2 years ago actually, Livia Devi, who is a beautiful visionary leader, a spiritual mentor, and an entrepreneur who empowers change makers to align with wealth, purpose, and leadership with higher consciousness. She also channels is it the 7D Arcturian Collective? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So she's a beautiful Arcturian channel as well. She flows with really working more into the new consciousness energies and moving people out of the old. We had a great spark in our connection of very similar frequency when we met in New York a couple of years ago. So I'm really excited to introduce her to everybody today. So welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much, Joanna. And it's a pleasure to be here with you today. And I love that, when we connected in New York, it was such a beautiful alignment. And since then, I felt like we remain connected. And I'm feeling this with everyone that is, in a leadership role. And it's actually bringing their unique frequency in different parts of the world. So super excited to be here with you today and for, transmitting to your beautiful community in New Zealand.
Yes. And you have been to New Zealand before. We were just mentioning before we hopped on, which is fantastic, but only to the South Island. So maybe we can kind of draw you to the North Island, which is where I'm setting up an amazing thing up north, sort of opening sort of end of this year. It's summer in this neck of the woods, but I'll be developing somewhere where I can bring in beautiful facilitators and leaders for what I hope will be really powerful experiences that are connecting and transmitting energy out like as a real portal from this place as well. So, but yeah, what was your experience of the New Zealand energies when you were here?
Yeah, so when I was visiting in 2019, it was the first time actually I've been in New Zealand, and it's a different energy. I'd never been to the north, but I only been on south, and I felt like the grids are different between north and south. And I feel like I'm excited into coming back again because I feel a deep connection with the Maori culture. As you know, I've been doing a lot of grid work with the tribes of the earth and also in Polynesia and Hawaii, where I lived for 3 years. And I'm coming back to Hawaii actually this winter for 2 months. And I'm excited to, when I was there in New Zealand, I was actually tapping into the Atlantean energy and doing a lot of grid work, but in the same time connecting, you know, all the islands in Polynesia and including New Zealand and Hawaii and creating a grid on the water to actually for the light workers that are on this territory to feel more united, because what I have noticed is that there was a lot of separation consciousness within the Polynesian tribes, and also they were losing so much the connection with their land and the islands that provided over the centuries so much for them. And I felt like part of our work, me and the 70 Acturian Council of Light, is to reconnect the grids. And I was restoring Atlantean and Lemurian grids in 2019 in that area.
Mm.
Um, I know that in the north part of the country, there are incredible sacred sites and temples and, like portals that I would love to visit. And, it's like returning to see how my work actually creating that ripple effect, from 2019 until now. Let's hope that next year, we can come visit again.
Yeah.
But it's really a powerful island, New Zealand, and it holds so much connection with spirit and with with Gaia consciousness, with the spirit of the island and the oceans, and New Zealand has always been like powering up, if I can say like that, with a lot of light Australia. So all the light is coming from New Zealand, powering up Australia, which is very interesting. And the whole continent that, before New Zealand and Australia were separated, there was an old continent that submerged in water. And that's also a grid that, it's still very alive at energetic level. So yeah, New Zealand is a very powerful spot. And every time I enter and I'm bringing my frequency and I step foot in onto these islands, I always have so much reverence for the local culture because they held, in their heart and soul for thousands of years this, divine unconditional love and co-creation with Gaia. So it's such a powerful way of actually, it's like when you enter, when you come, you actually enter a portal of their existence, at multidimensional level.
Mm,
So yeah, I feel like you are very lucky and like perfectly placed to do your multidimensional work in New Zealand.
mm.
And I'm happy that you are there and you are holding and nurturing and powering up those grids. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a special place. And I don't know if you got to visit Castle Hill because that's just out of Christchurch, where I know you were close to. But it's about an hour and a half out of Christchurch, and it's actually like an old temple site that dates way back. And I've had some pretty unique experiences there. And actually, the Dalai Lama visited there in 2002 and called it the spiritual center of the universe.
Yes, and I feel like he's right. I've been there. Actually, that was the reason I've been to New Zealand.
Ah,
So I
okay, yeah,
went to Castle Hill and, all the beautiful Dolomites and like the
that's right.
beautiful
Yeah,
formation
yeah.
that is there. And I felt like when I entered there that that's a like I felt like it's like a diamond with multifacets, interdimensional portals. And I
Mm,
remember that I had to ask permission to enter because there were so many beings there, and like this is where I connected with the Atlantean Council and Atlantean energy, and there were so many interdimensional ET civilizations that were there. So I felt like it was your galactic council, and this is when I actually connected with the Galactic Federation of Light for the very first time.
ah,
So I went and I meditated on a rock there, and wow, I just didn't want to leave that field. So
there's
it's
all sorts of portals there and different dimensional spaces that you
yes.
can like
And
merge in and
like,
out.
as I was walking through the rock formation, I felt like I was actually accessing different portals and civilizations. And I felt like, oh my God, this is such a like a map of interdimensional travel where you meet
Mm,
different civilization. And I was, 2019, I was still at the very beginning, if I can say, of my exploration with the seventh Arcturian Council of Light. I became a trans channel in 2017, but like in 2019, it was still very fresh for me
mhm,
when it comes to the teachings.
mhm.
So I was walking through that space and I was asking the council, it's like, is it okay if I go this way? Is it okay? Because it was like another beings that were coming, like a new council that were coming. So it was a very powerful, powerful experience. I stayed I think 2 weeks or 2 or 3 weeks in New Zealand, and I've been there multiple times in that
Yeah.
period of time just to reconnect back and reconnect. And we did a lot of grid work there as well. There are like landing sites at the energetic level for light ships and spaceships there as well. So that's a node within the highway of interdimensional travel for many civilizations. So
Mm,
it's what's interesting is that when I was there in Castle Hill and I anchored that energy, the same blueprint I found it on top of the mountain on Haleakala in Maui. So Haleakala Mountain is the highest mountain in Maui. It's a sacred site. So on top of the mountain, there is indeed a similar blueprint node for landing spaceships and light ships there. So when I went there in Haleakala, as I lived there for I think 1 year and a half, I've been on that mountain, just very close to the very top. I was actually linking Castle Hill with that site, and it's very interesting because my work with the 70 Arcturian Council of Light is very inter and multi-dimensional, but they are using interdimensional travels in connecting with my vessel. So we were restoring some pathways, some highways of traveling, and also because, like there were a lot of interferences because we are not the only ones. When we say we, 70 Arcturian Council of Light and other galactic civilizations are not the only ones that discover these interdimensional highways of existence. So there are, human governments in collaboration with other civilizations that were trying to stop and collapse those. So my work was actually to restore the highways, and to be able actually to restore it in for light ships to travel and communications to happen. So I remember when I was on top of Haleakala Mountain, there is a military base there, and they were saying that they are observing, but actually it's so secure that I was very close to their fence. And I remember that I was starting doing, my light work. I was doing
Yeah.
sign language, opening portals. So these two officers like start to walk, and the council is like, and they were approaching, they were having guns and so on. They were like, they were like military officers. They were not like, security or something, like security men, or a security company. And the council is like, don't worry about them, completely ignore them because we are going to take care. You just have to go a little bit more closer. So they were saying, like, go 5 meters closer to their fence. And I'm like, council, you are going to get me in a big trouble here, So, and I was like, okay. And I start to actually walk closer. And suddenly I saw those two military men. They just turned around. Like I was never there. It felt like it felt
Went
like
invisible.
they wiped their memory for a moment. And they were start walking back,
Hmm.
So then I went closer at 5 meters, and then I did my work, and then the counselor is like, now it's time to go, but it's time to go completely, like you don't spend any more minute here. And I left. And as I was leaving, they send, they have military drones that are, like little insects. So they sent like a buzz drone just to scan the field and take photos of me. And
Right.
that drone followed me until my home. So actually they were tracking me to see where I live. And actually I was living down the road. It was the first house which was like the last house before the summit was starting.
Hmm.
So I was there in their yard, living, and I was like, oh my God, they now know where I live. Let's see this is gonna become even more interesting moving
Totally.
forward. But nothing happened. I think I was just observed, and that's it. I don't feel like they know what I was doing there. Probably they thought, oh, it's just another person, whatever, there are
Yeah.
many, in that, and probably they're saying, whatever, whatever.
Yeah.
They don't have any clue what we have done there, which is amazing. But yeah, these are the portals, and there is the Castle Hill is one, and I know there are many other portals like this around the world. So yeah, definitely New Zealand is a powerful place, and I
Mm.
would love to return. Yeah.
I mean, I feel it. I do, back in the day, I was like, why was I born in New Zealand? And now I totally get it. I mean, there's a different frequency and energy here, and it feels like it's cleaner, clearer, energetic than many of the places I've worked around the world. I did one of those things where I went all over the world, looking for these activations and things, and then finally returned home back to New Zealand, sort of, 15 years later or something, and found the most powerful activations on my doorstep. And I was like, oh, of course. It was very funny. But, I'd obviously developed a lot in that time. But I find myself finding actually portals and energetics that just open when I'm doing work at site as well. And then all the weather comes in and changes and things like that. And so there's a lot to explore, which I love, and it's like that anywhere. But I think New Zealand is a little special in that it's got a bit of more of a role that's going to be upcoming. And as you say, all of the energies seem to becoming more pertinent that are beneath, that have sunk. because I was tuning into that recently also. It's been really coming into my field, I guess, with where I'm at now, doing this project up north a little bit. And I was connecting up and understanding a little bit more about the nodes there and what it's connecting to. And there is definitely some work to be done around more in that area and connecting back to these other portals and energetics that are submerged. Yeah, so it's quite interesting. Um, and so we've been in such a powerful time right now. You know, we've just had this 999 gateway. We are between very powerful eclipses, and then we've got this equinox coming right off the back of it and a new moon. And, you know, how have you been feeling about these energies? Because it feels like there's a deep purge going on a collective level, like so deep that people are really getting discombobulated with it, and it's quite unsettling. I just noticed so many people reaching out to me, especially over the last little while, and almost people thinking like, "Am I going crazy right now?" Because I'm just not quite sure where I'm at, and I don't feel people are feeling, I think, unsafe anywhere, just because of the nature of reality right now. And so it's a really interesting time, I think, coming through to this year, and this is a huge year. It feels more powerful and pertinent than the years that I've felt most recently, and with such a huge drive for purging, transmutation, and transfiguration, and probably to do with this nine moving into the one, you know, as in the numerological sense, but definitely feeling these tidying up of our being in ways that go well beyond our understanding of our human mind sometimes. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. And indeed, 2025 is a year that is felt, in the collective consciousness, no matter of the level of awakening, ascension, evolution, powerfully. So this is a year where everyone is feeling it and is going through, everyone is going through massive processes of transformation. And this is because year by year, all is accelerating in the quantum field. And since 2024, on a collective level, we have moved from time space linear realities like into time space continuums. So there is an acceleration in the quantum field, how realities are being created, and everything is like, it's like a huge energy there that entrains the collective to go and sort out like and collapse so many linearities. So what's happening is like we are being rewritten at the collective level, like all the linearity from our physical body, energetic body, light bodies is being dissolved as we are moving collectively into time space continuums. So there are people that are not awakened that already start experiencing their day longer than before. So, before it was only the awakened ones that they were tapping into this timelessness. Now there are the normal human being is experiencing timelessness and they don't know exactly what's happening, but the time and space in the collective is completely changing and shifting the perception at the at individual and collective level. So then, because of this acceleration, we are all placed in time space continuums, which allows and gives an opportunity to every individual, awakened or not, to take a longer journey of ascension and evolution in terms of like they have more inner time to explore their consciousness and who they are. But for this, to happen, this is when year with number 9, which is 2025, come into place, because this is the year when the linearity is being collapsed at cellular level
Mm.
on everyone on planet Earth. And this is why there is such an acceleration of events and purification and transformation and awakening, and people are going through a lot, and they're like, oh my God, I am this in this like wheel that is spinning so fast and I cannot control it anymore. And indeed, you cannot see the only thing that we can do is actually to sink into our heart consciousness And this is when we find the timelessness and the space for processing what we need to process. Also, we recently went through this huge full moon lunar eclipse that followed 2 days after the 999 portal. So these two events together created such a deep purge of all karmatic timelines from our cellular, from our consciousness, from our bodies. So, we have closed, how we are incarnating on planet Earth with some themes and things that we didn't close, like unfinished business from previous incarnation and different karmatic contracts that we need to actually reactivate in this life, and offer karma or offer dharma, or offer and receive karma and dharma, and between this interplay between souls. So in this 999 portal, all those open tabs of unfinished business and karma had been collapsed and closed. And this new beginning and new energy that we are starting, and it's gonna be clearing up in October. So in October we will be feeling this. People already feel it, but that is like we're gonna feel it even more intense in October, as we are moving in the in like the number one. Yeah, so October is 110, which is 10, 1 plus 0 is 1. We will feel that new beginning energies, and the new energies from 2026. So September month is a month of like collapsing a lot of timelines and karmatic contracts and agreements and vows at multi-dimensional level. Is like, if we came here with a list that we need to experience, that list has been wiped out, and you are offered the opportunity to, through your soul blueprint and signature, to redesign your life. And people ask me, yeah, it's a chapter. It's like, we are not closing chapters, we are closing an entire book, and we start to write a new book. So it's like, it's not even a chapter. There's like so much going on at multidimensional level when it comes to karmatic clearing. And that's massive. It's a massive, massive portal of completion. And this month of November is actually the month that is peaking at the highest when it comes to the energetics of 2025. So that's the most important month of the year, where there's a lot of completion happening. It's like, and I like this because, it's like, we always had been in this cycle of samsara, of like, death and rebirth, and in physical and non-physical level, like always going back in non-physical and reincarnating. Well, these cycles are gonna be approached at the soul level differently. So there's not gonna be an automation anymore, because before it was an automation. It's like, depends of how much unfinished business you had on earth and how much you carried from one incarnation to another, you're kind of like going back, to resolve this and find resolution. And this time around is that, people will have a deeper, how to say, it's not going to be bounded like the samsara wheel. It's not going to be bounded by the number of things that you have on your list to resolve, but also your free will as a light being. What do you choose to experience or not? And this year 2025 is clearing a lot. And what's clearing? Not only for physical human beings, but for non-physical as well, the ones that transition, that for them is clearing a lot. So it's like the collective consciousness of planet Earth, which is made by the ones that are at the forefront of creation, which are incarnated human beings, and the ones that are non-physical, is what creates the collective consciousness, is being helped all together, which is absolutely incredible. So it's a big year. It's a big year of transformation, of purification, of clearing, of empowerment as well, because as you clear and you move into the new energetics, you are being empowered to create your life and redesign how you want it, with no heavy strings anymore. And then the year, like, as we are moving forward in October, November, and December, when we are hitting the full moon in November, and also going through the 1111 portal, we start to reactivate back fifth dimensional templates, and it's a new energetics that's being born. And then we start to feel the 2026 year. So we in this last like 3 months, October, November, and December, we are being prepared at energetic level, how to welcome 2026 into our existence.
Mm.
So it is incredible what's happening. And, the fact that even non-awakened being, they start to tap into timelessness and co-create with time and space, which are, very important components of reality differently through their physical senses. It's major because what's happening is that before we always saw reality in previous years, in 2012 until probably 2023 or 2022, we've seen this separation, consciousness in between awakened human beings and non-awakened. And awakened human beings and awakened communities always led, and they were at the forefront in allowing the non-awakened humans to elevate. And sometimes the gap was so big, that we were like, oh my God, this cannot be closed anymore, because it felt like it was separating and is creating, different streams of human consciousness. But what I have seen in 2025 is that these humans that are not awakened here, they start to taste the timelessness of their existence, and they start to, some of them consciously, some of them unconsciously choose to awaken.
Mm.
So it's like it feels like it's a more softer blend of consciousness, like human consciousness is coming together, and there is no separate, starting to not be so much separation. And this is happening because these people that are not awakened needs to get empowered, because until now, the collective was was held, like by awakened human beings, and the awakened human beings did so much for the collective. We are still doing it, like we are pumping up so much energy frequencies, creating realities, imprinting different codes of awakening and ascension in the non-awakened collective. And now, we are moving in 2026 into a stream where we cannot create codependency within a collective consciousness. These people here cannot be codependent on these people here, like we've done a lot. The energetics of the years doesn't allow anymore this. So then we are empowering them here, and it's mostly Gaia and the ascension process that is empowering these people to start actually choosing for themselves and becoming more empowered to understand who they are and come out from the victimization consciousness and codependency streams into realigning with the ones that are awakened, and driving together in this soft reconnection of unity consciousness, the evolution of the human race. And this is incredible, because we have seen that there are so many non-awakened beings that are experiencing, maybe ascension symptoms, although, or awakening symptoms, even they are not awakened or are not ascending. Like we have seen how codependent relationship are falling apart. We have seen how, family connections that are toxic are falling apart. We have seen how they are choosing a different way of, like, treating their physical bodies, what they put in their bodies. They are become more selective in the water and air and food that they are ingesting, like they are becoming more aware. So they start, it's like, but this awakening is not so much as it happened for us, because for us it happened, it was these streams of energy, plasma light frequency just hit us and we had to awaken. It was quite like, a shock. But for these people, it's a more soft approach. It's coming from, their inner being is pulling them towards these things that feel good. So it's like a more a soft awakening and a more inner awakening, where they don't put themselves into, because this is not happening like boom, like it happened to us. But it's more like, oh, I am choosing differently. Oh, I am perceiving reality differently. Oh, I'm co-creating differently. Oh, I am empowered. Suddenly they feel empowered. So I kind of like this, because they start to actually let us, to not create this codependency stream, and for us to become a supportive component of their ascension process. So it's kind of different, and I love how things in the collective consciousness start to fall into place. And it's liberating us, which are at the forefront and pioneering, to actually, this is why, September 2025 is coming as like, we are rewriting our story, and we are choosing differently, and we have the freedom to serve ourselves and our unique individual soul missions, which will impact the collective, but it's not only the collective anymore, you
Mm.
know?
Yeah.
So I like this way of moving forward, which for me feels very liberating, and for many, 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 light workers and fifth dimensional visionaries and, incredible beings of light that are doing massive work for the collective, they feel like I need to go to the next level. Like I have done so much collective work. Now I'm ready to actually go to the next level of my divine soul mission on planet Earth.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of incredible intersections of dimensionality merging, converging into one spot that is having such incredible, powerful effects in so many different directions on everything, which is causing a huge ripple clearing. And as you say, breaking apart these old paradigms around any karmic cycles or anything like that. Like I've also noticed that too. It's like this grand convergence of all these different dimensions at once. Like it's like the only way I can really describe it, which is forcing like an energetic, not in a bad way, although it depends where you're at in your personal journey about how what I call it crunchy or not that's going to be, and if we've been listening and if we have been able to, navigate from the heart or whether we're still in the cycle of old stories or whatever, but I've noticed a dimensional convergence of epic proportions happening, which is creating these surges of energy that are literally pulling anything out from the depths because that inner part of our being that's guiding the way, it's like, enough. Like we need, this is where we're at now. Like it's almost like a game-changing kind of feeling that is coming through. So that's super interesting because you're putting
Yes.
different words to my understanding and feeling of it, and experience of it so far. Yeah.
Yes, and this is because like we as a collective consciousness and human race, we explored enough duality and contrast within the third, fourth dimension, and there is like we are moving collectively to the next step. So there are so many civilizations that they are waiting for us, like, hey, there is so much when it comes to evolution that human race didn't explore like, and there is so much to be explored. Evolution didn't is not finishing when we are moving in unity consciousness and oneness. It's
Mhm.
like this is just the beginning. So
Right.
all these multidimensional convergence that you are observing is that the quantum field is becoming ready for more humans to experience their multidimensional existence and start co-create with the holographic field in a different way than in
Mhm.
a linearity when you wake up in the morning and you do your stuff and you go back to sleep and you wake up to the same day every day
Mhm.
and you are kind of trapped within that. It's like there is so much to be explored within that time space opportunity of the present now.
Mhm.
So we are individually and collectively taken as a human race to actually to the next level of exploration of consciousness and exploration of how to co-create with this reality we are in, how to mold it, and because it is flexible, like the reality you are experiencing is
Yeah.
not physical, so it's like we are being taken beyond like to explore beyond our physical senses,
Mm.
our initial physical senses. So this is why there is so much energy surge and convergence points and energy, like, and it's like opening up so much because like, hey guys, you have explored so much duality, and so now it's time to become sovereign and co-creators. This is why the non-awakened collective is being empowered, because by being empowered they are becoming aware that they are deliberate and they start to interact with their reality differently, especially that now the linearity is being wiped out from their system and they are
Mhm.
starting to actually tap into time space continuums. And when you have like 24 hours a day, and 1 hour feels like 10 hours, you have a lot of time there to do your to live your life. So what you're gonna do, so it's like this is when they actually are being taken into let's explore. Like
Right.
you have time to actually do your stuff, and then let's explore how you can interact with this holographic field of reality which is in front of you. Reality can be shaped and shifted the way you want.
Mm.
So it's we are being given the opportunity in 2026 to take our exploration to the next level, and I'm excited about that. I'm really excited, and many people are excited because they are like, oh my god, now I can actually transcend to the next level. Like I don't need to actually, I can make my life so abundant and so incredible and so joyful and blissful. I can really have the experience of heaven on earth. I can really have the experience of my non-physical upbringing in physical body. I can really move in time and space the way I want and become who I want to be. And there is a liberation of the collective choice, because we are being empowered to create our own realities, knowing that when you are co-creating with time space continuums, everything is interlinked within the matrix of reality. So it's
Mm.
like you are not living the collective agreement, but you are not a slave to it anymore. So
Yeah.
which is beautiful.
Yeah. And I do feel the sense of liberation, and I do feel the sense of multidimensional conscious expansion and perception opening up for not only myself in bigger ways than ever before, but I can just see it, and I can see that convergence of timelines and multidimensional kind of streams coming together to almost like purge a deep sense of the linearity or any connection that has been cycling through in any of that. And it's, yeah, it's so interesting. It's like I kind of see it like as geometries or something, and how that's operating within those structures. But I do feel like there is such a feeling of lightness that comes with all of it, and with being, a certain level of being set free within our own consciousness and moving into more of that multidimensional space and understanding, which I find so fun because, as you say, it's like there's so much potentiality in the field, and you can explore so many different stuff. It's like so much more fun than a linear kind of lifestyle and timeline. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. And so have you had messages from the Arcturan Council around what is to come and what is to be what's next?
Yeah, so what I have shared already, like when it comes to September, October, November, and December energetics, and we are evolving as a
Mm,
species, and as we are evolving as a species, we will experience less and less contrast. We know that there is a lot going on planet Earth right now within the lower dimensions. There are wars, there is a lot of contrast happening.
mm,
And the all the non-physical expression and physical expression, we are mobilized together to actually these people to actually that are creating so much chaos and disturbance in the field. Even they don't believe anymore in the cause that they are even they see the magnitude of destruction and loss. So I feel like collectively also we will be moving out from these war consciousness grids, which tear apart a little bit, the human heart, because this is, it's collectively we are connected with the heart consciousness. And
yeah.
it is a contrasting experience, but still like it's touching the hearts of so many people that like there is an intolerance like from the collective about these events at the global level that's happening in different parts of the world, like
Mm,
Gaza, and other like what's happening in Nepal and what's happening in Africa and so on. So it's like there is a lot of like, it's like there is no tolerance from the collective consciousness anymore for this type of duality.
mm,
So I feel like in the next years, we are, slowly moving towards not only individually creating their own reality, but collectively having and experiencing realities that are more aligned. Of course, the more the light is arising, the control and of the darkness, if I can say like that, is increasing as well. It's always like that's always this is law of the universe. It's like
mm,
the light and dark are the facets of the same coin. Energy is neutral, depends on how we are relating to it.
mm,
So we are evolving, and I feel like many events and things that we have seen, they will start being like unraveled, like everything will start being revealed as the systems are changing. You know, there are these third dimensional matrix systems within the social, economical, and political, that they will start crumbling as well, because they cannot sustain anymore lower dense realities.
Yeah.
So we will start seeing a lot of things being revealed, as we have seen in the previous years, a lot of changes, and
Mm.
slowly, surely moving more towards harmony, yeah, within the collective realities. Um, there is still separation, and some people has to experience separation consciousness in order to understand what unity consciousness is. Without separation, without contrast, some people don't know what that is. Will never know what love is.
Mm.
So that game of duality in lower dense realities will still happen, but I think, generally speaking, people will start experiencing, the collective level, a more ease and grace and harmony moving in the next years of our evolution.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's good just to go a few more years in advance to give people a kind of sense of like, you know, how is it playing out? And because I do even think that even in the the spiritual community or the light worker community, there is a lot of focus on this narrative that the dark versus light and the spiritual war and all of this kind of stuff. And I think it can derail, it can be part of the distraction and can be derailing to you because it's sort of that's in its own sense, there's a level of victim consciousness behind that. It's like it's out of our power or it's out of my hands and stuff. And so I have noticed a lot of um focus into that. So it's nice to bring, I think, a different perspective about it because they're two sides of the same coin. I mean, I always remember like I think it was Mattias De Stefano talked about how the dark is working for the light. Like it's like sometimes people can't do it, they don't get the message the light way. And so therefore like the dark comes in to do the work of the light. And like he was like, it's all the same. So I thought I really actually liked that because it made it so humorous to me. And I was like, oh, of course. But I like a perspective that is I guess lightens it up for people because it can get a very easy narrative to get deeply enthralled in and wrapped in and take you down various rabbit holes, which was great exploration. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's more just like where is our energy best focused right now? And I think really that is in the holding our own pristine frequency and light in all of this and being able to anchor that wherever we are or in whatever we're up to and whoever we're coming across.
Yes, and I feel it's a personal choice. Everything comes back to a personal choice. There is a time and space for trauma healing and transformation, and there is a time and space to moving on from that grid. But
Mhm.
I feel like people are getting wrapped up into 10, 20 years of healing, and they are beating the drum of the same energetics in the same time are blaming themselves and the world why their reality is not changing. Well, we are living in an energetic universe, and if you continue to beat the drum of what you don't prefer, of course, that you will receive more of what you don't prefer.
Mhm.
So many people cannot plug themselves out from that grid because they don't understand how reality works and how this universe is constructed. They are just, they're in victimization consciousness, and that's all, that they are doing. So yes, this is another thing when people get stuck within a frequency bandwidth and they don't have the courage, they feel like that they don't have the self-worth, they don't have the energy, they don't believe that their life can be better. So then they are marinating into that frequency for as long as they choose to, because it is an individual choice. Life is a decision, like we are choosing every day, consciously or unconsciously.
Mhm.
And the more conscious and intentional we are in our choices, the better our reality becomes and our life is. But if we are living by default and just focusing of what is not working, then you will receive what is not working. And as I said, there is a time and space for healing, but like also being present and being responsible when you are doing your healing process and you go through this, the lower spiral of existence. You have to become responsible and to take ownership of the reality you are creating, because deliberate or not, you are still creating reality. So then you have to take ownership of your reality. If it's not working, then it's because you are in that stream and you have created it the way it's presented to you. Reality is like, the reality doesn't have any fault that it is the way it is. It's not its fault. It's like you are projecting it, what you are feeling. So
Mm.
when you are deliberate and you know that that's your reality, take responsibility for it, and then you change it, that's the way moving forward. But many people, they don't want to feel empowered and sovereign in changing their reality, and they start blaming their physical reality. They start blaming their parents, they start blaming their husbands, they start blaming business partners. There is a lot of blame and shame and guilt, which is a very tricky wheel to be in. And until you take self responsibility of your healing process and of your reality, then you'll continue, things are not going to change for you, and you'll continue just spinning in the same way. And this is how why people are blaming governments, are blaming presidents, are blaming
Totally.
everyone outside of them, that they don't look at themselves. And it's like, hey, if I don't like this reality, how can I do to change it?
Yeah.
Because they cannot change your reality. You are the only one that can change it. So that's a teaching of empowerment that indeed many people in the spiritual community, they are not familiar with, or they don't want to take responsibility for it, because creating your own reality means like, whoa, you are ramping up your game, and you let go of the old stories and victimization consciousness. Most people don't want to do that, because they feel comfortable in blaming others and being a victim, and always receiving support and emotional support and mental support, because they need that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
this
do.
is
I do
how.
feel like we're in that tough love kind of era where we're also in the age of transparency, and in the age of transparency where everything, even on outside, is coming to light and being revealed. I also feel like that within ourselves, because you can't continue on a path and not have radical responsibility for everything that you are experiencing, because you're literally a frequency magnet, and everything coming into your reality is due to the frequency, which is, the average of all the energies, the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions, the behaviors, the impulses, all of it that is cycling around within the system. And so, I agree, like it takes a radical shift to flip out of that. And when you're in the energy of on a constant healing journey, you're in the energy of a constant healing journey, because you're not embodying actually the version of being out of that. So it's the same with in the energy of searching for the answer, searching for something, searching, and then you can never actually embody the answer, because you're in the energy of search. You're not in the embodiment of what is. And so, it's those, I call those like funny consciousness traps in this reality that you don't necessarily maybe know how to describe, but I see them quite prevalent everywhere. And it's like these are the loops that you can get stuck in if you are in some kind of unconsciousness, or in a blind spot where you actually can't see what is going on and how your reality is speaking to you to get you to cotton on to that fact. um
Yeah, it is like a consciousness trap. It's like Alice in the underworld, It's like when you go down the rabbit hole, like, yeah, you are just exploring a different world, but it's not the outer world, is the underworld, So it's like you have to, yeah, it's a journey there. Yeah.
yeah, it certainly is. Um, and, I don't know if there's anything that you want to share as tools or tips, or a little process, or a little channeling that might resonate with people right now, or things that you feel like are pertinent to share.
Yeah, so I feel like a daily practice for everyone, if they want to connect with these energetics of 2025, 2026, and step into creating a new way of living in reality, is to start becoming intentional in how they are living their life. And we all know that we are waking up to the same day every day, and every morning we have the possibility to change the stream of energy which creates reality. So, it's good for people to create a habit, and, discipline and consistency. It's very important also, stays very important when it comes to, co-creating with this physical body, the physical senses, our mind, and our mind can be a very good servant to consciousness and heart consciousness. So then, in order to train our mind, because this is the problem is like people are living by default in realities created by their subconscious minds.
Mm-hmm.
And when we start to actually train our mind and become more intentional, more disciplined, more focused, more aware, this is when we are actually not letting the mind to actually wander and create the same thing over and over again like a broken record, but create something intentional that is led by our awareness and our consciousness. So, living intentionally means that, you wake up in the morning, you are meditating. Why meditation is important in the morning and, not in, any other part of the day, is just because when you wake up, it's like your mind is empty and you can, it's like it's a blank canvas that you can write a new story of your reality. And it's a very beautiful space of actually connecting to your higher self and creating the reality that you deserve and you want to experience. Because indeed, we have a very much power of influence when we wake up in the morning and we create our desires and, what we want to experience, no matter what we remember, because the past doesn't exist, the future is in the making, and this is how you create your future in the moment now. So, when we are waking up in the morning, it's important to go into a space of like connection with the reality and that you want to experience, and designing it into your mind. The design of your reality comes through thought, through feeling, and visualization. The visualization implies imagination and also vision.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's like when you have these elements, it's like you can go into a space and create a beautiful stream of reality for yourself. And this will, once you, when you do it this consistently, even during the day, for example, you have this image and this desire, and it's 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning, you wake up, you actually project it within the holographic field into through your imagination and visualization. And then 12 o'clock comes and that reality is not still there, you are still going back to it and amplify it, because this is a training and a discipline. If we want to create a new reality and to change our circumstances, we have to ignore our current circumstances and to continue pumping up our focus and energy within the reality that we want to experience. And when you do this exercise, before you even knowing, you start to live that reality. And this is how things start moving into your life. This is how you can unplug from so many, projections that are coming from your subconscious mind. So only this, and guys, it's not taking such a long time. It's like when you wake up in the morning, you don't have to meditate for 1 hour. Just go there 10 minutes and but stay focused in that 10 minutes. Take that 10 minutes, with you during the day is being the most important thing that you have done on that day, and amplify it on the 12 o'clock, amplifying before going to sleep. Start to live into your new reality, because when you do that, things are starting changing, because this reality is flexible. You can change it, but this is the only way you can actually modify it and change it. Yeah. So I feel like I'm saying this because when people are doing this consciously, consistently, with discipline and like with excitement, because the feeling and emotion plays a huge role in creating your reality, then you will start tapping into all these streams of energy. Joanna and I, we are speaking here. Like, this world that we are sharing with you will become so familiar and 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 familiar to you, that you're like, oh my God, I start to actually link the dots of my existence, and you'll start to zoom out from your reality. You go on top of the mountain and you are like, oh my God, now I can see it all. And now I can choose differently.
Mm.
So do this exercise for 2025, 2026 as we are moving through this new stream. It's incredible if you start co-creating consciously your reality. So
Mm.
this is what I want to share because I feel this is more important than anything else moving
Yeah.
forward.
I love that. Yeah, it's so great to provide something practical that is useful and but also is such a fundamental part of reality creation and conscious living, really, in general.
People are not doing this. You would say, oh my God, but people are just not,
Mm.
They wake up, they go in meditation, and then when they close their eyes, there are 1 million worries and thoughts that are just coming, in their mind, and they are worrying about the past, they are worrying about the future, they are worrying about what's going to happen in 10 minutes after they finish the meditation. Some of them they are thinking it's like, okay, after I finish this, I have to, make my tea, put my clothes on, and then jump on a car, take my tea with me in the car while I'm driving to work, and then, oh my God, I have a deadline at 9 o'clock in the morning. So it's like that's not meditation.
Mm.
That, and there's so many people are doing that, So many people are like rushing towards their future, which will be a future that you don't prefer, instead of actually take a moment and like change that, like change completely that. I'm manifesting, I always manifest things. Like for me, things are just happening instantly. When I ask, it is given in the moment, and in the moment. And this is because I'm doing this work with so much consistency every day, and then you start to live into this miracle consciousness, how people are calling it, although there is no miracle, everything is happening normally, just because just because things are just happening for you.
Yeah.
So yeah,
But
this is our.
it's a miracle of the old consciousness, of the old paradigm and reality, whereas actually in what the reality and consciousness level, we are supposed to be living in a multidimensional so space that's just the norm. It's like the status quo is miracle consciousness. I
And
love that.
actually, when we came here in physical form, we said it's like, hey, we are gonna have an incredible life experience filled with so many gateways of experiencing life in physical and non-physical, and it's especially bridging, physical with non-physical, in physical, like in incarnation.
Mm,
And it's such an incredible opportunity that I think many of the people, they are just focused on reality and what is real to them, although that thing is just a projection,
mm,
instead of like playing with it.
mm. And I also feel like, for me, at least in my personal journey over the last 2 years, and probably more than that, but very, very acutely over the last 2 years, I've had to sort of surrender into the space so many times and just come back to the heart, get out of the mind, and allow myself to be so in the knowing, in my divine knowing of what is meant for me in this reality that I am creating, that I know that everything else that is falling out of it will not isn't in true alignment for me, and being okay with that, whether that's a relationship, whether that's a job opportunity, whether that's I don't know, something else, like to do with a house or living situation or whatever it is. It's been a very, very interesting process of, I want to call it, like, focalized surrender, but being able to be in that space where you are constantly, I've done it multiple times, and it's because we're not meant to be holding on to everything so tightly anymore. It's meant to be fluid and free flowing. And because the further we come into our divine alignment, the more clear and that we are holding our energy, then things just fluidly fall in and out of reality. And I think if you are carrying a lot of grief or a lot of, like, the density of emotion around that, it can feel hard, but it doesn't have to be, because we're meant to be free flowing and fluid, and things falling in and out of realities, and people coming into your path and then going along with that, and then someone else coming in, and like, it's a bit more kind of like, I think, just expansive in that way, and that there can be so many different shifts and changes of monumental proportions even over, like, a short period of time, like 2 years. I think about where my life was 2 years ago. It's very, very different to where it is now. Like, so much changes. And I think just getting more adept at surfing reality. It's literally like we're surfing, so like, and then there's like these waves, and we're going like this and that, and then we're getting like a constant like appreciation for a connection of the level of the heart and the divine, because the thing is when we're connected in that space, it is non-linear. It's not necessarily going to make sense to the mind. It's not necessarily going to be any of that, but I've been propelled forward by an energy that goes outside of that, that is the true connection to how we do navigate this reality when we are doing it in a deeper way that is more in the organic model of how we were built as a technology on this planet.
I love it. Yes. I think you explain it very well. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. And what's next in your realm of stuff? What's moving for you? I know you've been doing beautiful wealth consciousness masterminds and things. What's your level of play right now in this beautiful space of expanded consciousness and multidimensionality and all of it?
Yeah, you mentioned about the well consciousness mastermind. We are starting the last round of this program this year in November. Sorry.
Mm,
And let me drink
of
something.
course.
Oh, my throat. I had this problem with the throat. Or if I speak more than 1 hour,
Ah,
hour and a half, it's my throat start like really.
I see.
I had a little bit of purge, because I cannot call it a cold or something.
Yeah.
I was going through a process on the 99 portal,
Hmm.
and I was clearing a lot, So now I have to drink a lot of water when I have these conversations because I know it will come a time when I will start coughing.
Uh,
So I always have like tea or water close to
yeah,
me.
yeah, absolutely.
So going back, Well Consciousness Mastermind, this is a powerful program that we are running another round this year in November. It's a 6 month program that at the end we will have a celebration day in the United States. And then another thing that I'm running this year is Soul Mission Accelerator, where I activate light workers in their divine soul mission on planet Earth. So we are going to have a last round of Soul Mission Accelerator as well.
Mm.
And there are a lot of projects that are running around, and I'm excited working on them. But in terms of like the windows, the gateways that people can actually work with me is through these two programs this year only. And yeah, it's people wants to find me, they can find me at liviadevi.com. You can just Google my name, Livia Devi. You'll find me on social media, Instagram and Facebook. And yeah, I'm excited to extend my service to the New Zealand community.
Ah, beautiful. Oh, well, it's been beautiful to have you on. Thank you for all of that gorgeous wisdom and about your experience in New Zealand and all of those different energies at play and what's coming from now through the end of this year. It's been, yeah, fantastically enlightening and, yeah, and fun, of course, as always. We always get together and seem to have a little fun. Um, and is there anything else, any last thoughts you want to share for anybody or?
Well, I would love to just encourage everyone to, live more lightly because there is a lot going on planet Earth. And I know that each and one of you are going through a lot of transformation individually and the collective level, and sometimes can wear it heavy on you and like, you can start to see things very seriously, especially when, major things are happening into your life, like as you said, Joanna, like there are so many people that are going through these heavy feelings, and because there are like things that are happening in their life. So what I would say, take your journey more lightly. Don't become so serious about what is presented in front of you as reality, because when you start to actually co-create with joy and bliss and laughter, it's things are changing and are shifting, and you start to actually see the reason why things had happened in your life and have a bigger picture of where you are going.
Mm,
So I feel like this is it's my last advice
I love
and
that.
my last encouragement to you all. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for coming on the show, and I hope everybody enjoyed that conversation. Drop us a comment under the video. Let us know if you've got any questions. We'll be tuning back in and checking out. All of the details will be in these show notes. So thank you, everybody, and have a beautiful day wherever you are.
Thank you.